2, 3. My darling, I love you, 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 I love you. Love you, I 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 love you. Love you, I 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 love you.
What's up, everybody? It's your favorite YouTuber, the spiritual bad bitch. My name is Anila Sita, and if you're new here, then you're lucky, and if you're back, then welcome back. I hope you're doing good today. Today we are doing something different. I'm sorry if the light setup is a bit weird, but I don't really know how else to do this. Today I really wanted to chat with you guys while I'm installing this wig, because I've had a lot of people on Instagram asking me to show an in-depth tutorial of how I install my wigs. I wanted to bring you along with me while I'm getting ready and talk about something today that has recently been coming to my awareness, which is we're going to be talking about the fear of taking up space. And I really want to share with you stories of how I realized this shit will literally hold you back in every single area of your life, like your relationships, your career. It is a fear that we got to get rid of in 2024, all right? It is currently Valentine's Day as I'm recording this. I just had to show that and send love to everybody who is watching. Also, my hair is really growing, but I just like to wear wigs sometimes, so let's get into this. First, what I do is I brush all my hair back and I start slicking it back. Put some gel, snatch that shit back. Where do I start with this topic? I feel like a lot of people in my audience are probably similar to me. I'm realizing this more and more, which is why I'm, forcing myself to show up more and talk about all the different types of things I'm learning in my life and the things I'm going through, because, it makes me feel less alone to talk about it on here. Maybe it'll have the same effect on you if you struggle with these things. If you are a person like me who's grown up in a, I guess, chaotic family or chaotic childhood, I feel like what can happen, especially for me, growing up around addicts, sometimes it can lead you to walk on eggshells around people, right? And you're at home and you kind of don't really want to take up space, quite literally. Like, you want to be like a mouse who is not noticed in any way at all, because you might get in trouble, right, if you are noticed in some way. I recently had this realization. Why do I feel anxious? I don't know. Sometimes talking about these things makes me feel anxious. I recently, I think like in January, I went to a show of my boyfriend, and there were a lot of people there who knew of me, and they knew that I'm a YouTuber. And I remember speaking specifically to this one girl, and she was like, "Oh, tell me, so you're a YouTuber? That's so cool." And I noticed in the way that I responded that I have an issue with taking up space and loving myself and loving the fact that I have accomplished this and I am a YouTuber. I don't know why, but for some reason it just makes me feel like cringy sometimes to talk about it, even though this is my job. But I remember responding to her saying, yeah, that's true. I am a YouTuber. Yes, I did work hard to get here, but I'm not for everyone. I kept saying this to her. I kept saying, I'm not for everybody. And you know what? Looking back at this, because even her response when I said this was like, yeah, of course, but that doesn't matter. It's so cool that you do this for a living and stuff. And it kind of made me realize, like, wait a minute, why do I feel so bad about owning that? And then I realized it boils down to an undeservingness. So what I realized, okay, is that what I was doing by essentially saying, oh, but I'm not for everybody, not everybody's gonna like me, this and that, I was kind of rejecting myself. And I think that this happens when we are afraid of taking up space, is we will criticize ourselves before anybody gets the chance to criticize us. We will reject ourselves before anybody gets the chance to do that. And I think that these things are so sneaky. You don't really notice you're doing it until you kind of pay more attention to the way you talk about yourself. By the way, what I'm doing right now with my hair is I am laying it all flat, tying it behind my head so that when the wig is on, it is really sitting and it's all nice and tight. Now we're gonna go in with the wig cap. All right. Sorry, it's hard for me to talk and do this at the same time. All right, let me get the scissors. I usually lay it completely over my face, but I cut a space for my eyes to see, just like so. Whew. Put it under my nose. Then I also make sure that all of my hairs are like slicked the hell back. We want that shit to be out of sight for sure. All right, I'm gonna use this to secure the wig cap on my head. Now I'm gonna blow dry it here. I'm just putting makeup here now on my hairline so that we don't see my hairline, because it's gotta be giving scalp, it's gotta be giving skin. I had this realization that a lot of the time when I would be hanging out around people, I would wait for an invitation to speak. I've often in my life waited for permission to be myself. And being somebody who is a big personality, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could see that I'm a big personality, and somebody who has a big energy and is very passionate, I kept myself small because I think these qualities when I was a kid were shunned and shamed a lot. So I think my default is definitely to kind of be quiet and be more of an observer when I'm around people. But recently I have been challenging myself to take up space in whatever that means, right? Like, I'll give you an example. I used to have people in my family who bullied me for how much I ate. I didn't even eat that much as a kid. Like, I ate a normal amount as any other kid, but for some reason a lot of the women in my family just bullied me when I was a kid, and they would actually lock up food in the kitchen to keep it away from me. But yet my brother was allowed to go in the kitchen and get whatever the fuck he wants, but I wasn't allowed because there was this misogyny in my family where the women were treating each other like shit and we're putting a man on a pedestal. Why this translates to taking up space is, now when I'm at other people's houses, even if they tell me you can get whatever you want out of the kitchen, I notice that I still have this huge fear that I'm gonna be yelled at if I get stuff from the kitchen, because I'm so terribly afraid of taking up space, annoying somebody. So I kind of walk on eggshells when I'm at other people's houses. And I have been noticing that over the past few years, as I've lived with different people and been in flat shares. This wig cap is shit, but we're gonna work with it. I have been challenging myself to not walk on eggshells and to take up space as much as I can. So this is literally my challenge at the minute, is any conversation I have with people now, whether that's with a stranger or people in my life, I push myself to take up space. I push myself to be big and to be me. And even on social media, you know, I think I have been having this fear of annoying people. So weird, because a lot of you will send me messages saying you want me to upload more videos, and I'm definitely working on that. But I noticed that what's behind this is this massive fear of taking up space. I feel like it's not even a fear, it's like a program, you know, when you're so used to being small, it takes a lot to train yourself out of that. It's really been showing me, by the way, in case you are somebody who struggles with taking up space too, it's showing me that nobody but me was standing in my way. Like, the truth is, nobody really cares. Nobody has to give you permission for you to take up space and for you to be yourself. And this is the trap, is that when you are so scared of taking up space, and you're desperately craving for somebody to say, hey, what do you have to say? Or like, what are your thoughts on this? I have really always in conversations waited until I am addressed to speak, and I'm learning I don't have to do that. I'm allowed to speak when I have something to say. And I feel like in the past that hasn't been the case. I think another thing actually I've been noticing that's just popped into my head is, you know, the women in my family, they're not really into self-love. I guess they're into self-hatred. And because of that, I've been told so much growing up that it's like a bad thing to be confident because you don't want to come across as a narcissist and you don't want to come across as self-obsessed. And all of that is just complete and utter nonsense that is coming from somebody's wounds that has been projected onto me, and I'm tired of it and I don't want to do that anymore. Let me just finish this off camera and I'll get back to you in a second. All right, now that I've cut everywhere, what I do is I take this and I put it up here so that the wig cap kind of stays in place in the back of my head. All right, and what you want to do is just like cut around your hairline. Another way in which I have had this fear of taking up space affect me is in the way I dance. In fact, whenever I go and practice dancing in the studio and I record myself, I notice that my movements, instead of being big and elongated and really taking up as much space as my body needs to, because I'm a tall bitch, all right? So when I go to dance class, like, I be hitting people and shit. So you see, it's like I would make myself smaller. Instead of being like that, I'll be like this, because I had this subconscious fear of taking up space. I mean, in the example I just explained with dance, it's quite literally like, I'm gonna slap somebody, I'm gonna hurt somebody if I take up space. And I think in the past, even with, you know, people in my family, it's been the same thing. They would make me feel like I am doing something wrong if I'm taking up space. And I'm really trying to break this and step out of it, but I'm not gonna lie, it's hard when you've always been conditioned one way. All right, so this is how we want it to look. Now I'm gonna get some alcohol and wipe around the hairline, because I noticed when I don't do this, the wig doesn't stay down and stay glued as much as I'd like it to. And like I just told you, I'm a dancer, so I cannot have that shit flying off of my head. No, no, no. Now we are going to put this wig on my head. I recently washed it and put all of my curl products and hair products that I used to use on my hair, and look how shiny and beautiful it is. I cannot wait to see how this looks on me. It looks crazy right now because we need to do this properly, but it's gonna look fire once it's done. So what I'll usually do, I just parted it like so. I put wax. Like so. And then I go in with the hot comb and I just do the same thing, brushing it back so that no hairs are in the way when we are doing the gluing. All right, now that that is done, get the clips and pin this hair back. I also like to tie it back. If you guys have been watching my recent videos, then you know I have been talking a lot about taking responsibility and not blaming other people. I have noticed that this fear of taking up space, it can feel like other people are to blame for it. Like I was telling you before, I wouldn't speak unless I was spoken to, and I wouldn't answer or I wouldn't say something unless somebody asked me a question. And then I would get mad at people if they didn't ask me a question. And I would think, am I that uninteresting? Am I not good enough? Why is it that nobody ever seems to check in with me? And it really is because I was in this wound of, you know, I've been neglected and I've been abandoned as a kid, and I've always felt like people didn't really care about me as a person. I'm just putting glue now here. What that does to you is it really does put you in a place where you don't want to take up space and you don't want to say anything. You don't want to do anything because you're feeling so unworthy inside yourself. And I noticed recently that that's a me problem, because everybody that's in my life currently treats me so good. Like my friendships, even my relationship, a lot of people in my life are really rooting for me, but yet I kind of stand in my own way by thinking I'm not supported and people don't support who I am. People don't want to hear my thoughts. People don't care about me. I really had to check myself recently and say, look, you are your worst enemy and you have to stop. It really is always the same old shit, isn't it? I mean, as humans, we are always thinking that we are the problem and we're not good enough. It's such a common program, but in actuality, we are good enough. We are good enough. I am good enough. I am good enough. I am good enough. I am good enough. I remember when I used to train at dance college in 2018, I did this course that was, I think, 3 months, and it was an intensive dance training. I mean, we danced like 6 hours a day. And in this course, I remember we had to freestyle in front of everybody. And I think I've shared this story before. And one time, it was a Nicki Minaj song playing. I think it was Chun-Li. If you know Nicki, then listen to that song. I mean, you'll probably know it if you know Nicki. And you know, Chun-Li is a very angry kind of song. I mean, not angry, but I guess it's not bubbly. It's not bubbly, and I'm very bubbly. And I remember when it was my turn to do the freestyle, I was just like dancing with this smile on my face the whole time. And then the teacher told me, stop. Look at the energy of this song. Your bubbliness is beautiful, and it's great in other scenarios maybe, but right now, try to get into that like bad bitch character, you know? And he told me, imagine that everybody is cheering for you. And I love that he said that, because that phrase has stayed with me throughout my whole life. Every time I think people are hating on me or people are thinking something negative about me, when in actuality I'm probably just thinking something negative about myself, I just tell myself, people are cheering for you, stop. And I know you guys watching this right now are gonna be like, yeah, we are cheering for you. But trust me, some people have not been cheering. You see how I'm going to the negative again? I'm really trying to work on that and not always go to the default negative stories that I kind of go into in my brain. All right, this has been one layer of glue. Now I'm going to add another layer. I think the reason why I started even making this type of content was because I was really lacking that. I was really wanting somebody to tell me, you know, you're amazing. And a lot of the time, I do think people were thinking that about me, and they were saying that to me too. You know, they were positively encouraging me. But I've just been so stuck in my own head the past few years. I don't know. I was treated like shit as a child. And I think then when you reach a type of success, especially a success that's so visible and has so many people watching you, you have to really work on reframing the relationship with yourself and owning it, owning your success. That's been my biggest thing. Owning my success, loving myself. And even if you don't have success, you still gotta love yourself. You still gotta think you're the shit before anybody else can. But I think that's always been my biggest thing in life, is this realization that when you need validation, you often don't get it. And then when you don't need it, you receive it everywhere. And I've seen this happen so many times. By the way, I know a lot of you have been DMing me your problems, and quite a few of you have been DMing me about struggling with validation, and I am going to make a video about that soon, because this has been another thing I have been working on in therapy. Like all of last year has been letting go of my addiction to approval and validation, and really marching at my own speed and doing what I want to do, and understanding that the audience comes last. If you're a creative, if you are a creator, a content creator, or in any situation where you are wanting validation, please understand that people's validation will only give you what you think you need for 1 second. And then you're gonna go back to needing more and craving it like a drug, because what you really wanna do is to learn how to self-validate. And that's been my recent thing. My recent affirmation is, it's good enough because I say so. And not because you tell me it's good enough. It's good enough because I say so. And I think that's a very empowering place to be in, when it's always been very opposite. I don't want to talk about validation now, because this is going to turn into an entirely different video. But yeah, I will be making a video on that soon. Alright, this is the 3rd layer of glue. I think that's all I'm gonna do for now. Really making sure that that shit's evened out. I realize this is not like a step-by-step tutorial. I'm just kind of doing it and you're just kind of watching. And if you want to do wigs yourself, you're probably gonna have to watch other videos, or if you need me to really do an in-depth tutorial, let me know when I can, but it's not really my usual kind of content, you know. I don't know why that matters, actually. I really do be standing in my way a lot and thinking I have to be a certain way, when actually we don't have to do or be anything. All we have to do in this life is die. That is all. Alright, it's time to bring it down and glue it. This is always the scariest step for me because I don't want to fuck it up. Alright. Like so. Just pressing it in there. And I like to go over it with the hot comb. Now we've only got the top glue down, and I'm gonna put this over it for like 5 minutes. What I like to do during those 5 minutes is touch it here with the hot comb, but very carefully. I just want to make sure that the glue is really combining with the lace. So basically, what I'm trying to say with this video to you is, please stop holding yourself back and please give yourself permission to take up space. You are allowed to be you. You are allowed to take up space without anybody's permission. You're allowed to speak without anybody's permission. You're allowed to be confident. And I believe in you and I love you. And please just know that the right people are gonna always encourage you to take up space because they see your magic. And if you haven't found those people yet, just continue to manifest and believe that those people can and will come into your life. If you guys want me to make a video on manifesting high value friendships, attracting, you know, your tribe into your life, attracting people, let me know, because I've been knowing all the hacks with that one too. I've literally moved to so many different countries in my life that I now know how to successfully make friends anywhere I go. It takes me a long time, but I always trust in my path, and I always trust that the right people come my way. Anyways, I'm just gonna let this sit and play some music, and then once this is done, I'll get back to you. This 5 minutes have gone by, Now all we gotta do is glue on the sides. Another way, by the way, in which this shit will show up is if you find yourself judging other people for the ways in which they show up. Oftentimes it's that you would like to show up, but you are standing in your own way by thinking you're unworthy. And so you see somebody else doing their thing, and maybe they're not perfect, maybe they're not as talented as you think you have to be to do something, and then you kind of judge them and you're like, how the fuck does this person get to do that, but they suck at it? And honestly, this used to be me before I started on YouTube. I remember watching people's get ready with me videos, and I remember this one video where this girl was talking and she was just giving advice and stuff, and honestly none of the advice resonated with me. And I remember saying to my friend, oh my god, what the fuck does this bitch have a channel? Like, what she's saying is making no sense. But then I realized, wait a minute, she's showing up in her own way because she considers herself to be worthy, and she has success because of that, because she took a chance on herself. And what I think or how I'm judging her doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So if you are finding yourself judging other people in the ways that they show up, this could be other examples. It doesn't have to be the one I just mentioned. This could be even other people talking a lot, other people being loud, you know, all of those things. Truthfully, I feel like that is all you desperately wanting to be loud yourself, you wanting to express yourself, but you standing in your own way and thinking you're not worthy to show up, you're not worthy to speak up. And whose problem is that? Yours. Like I keep saying, you don't need anybody's permission to be you and to speak up and to do whatever the fuck you want to do, you know? So that's another thing. And in relationships, this has happened to me too. Again, if you have this fear of taking up space, you will not share stuff, or you won't allow yourself to talk about stuff as much as you'd like to. Like, I would keep a lot of my creative projects secret from whoever I was dating because I was so afraid of them judging me or rejecting me. So I almost kind of subconsciously rejected myself and just never showed it to them. And this led me to hoard a lot of my creative stuff, because the truth is, with creativity and art and the things, our thoughts and just the things that we are passionate about, when we don't share it with people, it's actually so sad, because art is meant to be shared and our thoughts are meant to be shared. And there is somebody who is gonna think your thoughts are interesting and is gonna think that your art is good, but you have to take that chance on yourself and stop rejecting yourself, you know? So now in my current relationship, I have been feeling like I'm blossoming so much into the person that I really always wanted to be, because I feel so safe to show him stuff. My partner is the one who actually helped me with the intro that you hear at the beginning of my videos, my new intro, the acapella. Like, my boyfriend is a trained musician, so he knows music theory. I really don't quite yet, but I'm learning, and he helped me to bring this little intro together. And honestly, this whole experience of us making the intro together, it was again me completely standing in my own way. Every time that he would tell me to correct something, I would take a lot of it personally and take it like criticism, and I almost gave up and didn't finish this intro because I was so in my head and I was criticizing myself so much and saying, you suck, you suck, you suck, when in actuality I don't. But the ego and this voice in our head, sometimes it really do be saying that shit, and we have to just quiet that voice down and just do it. This is the reason why I tattooed "just do it" on my arm, because it really is a life philosophy for me. That's just another 2 cents to this whole conversation of taking up space. I really feel like what I'm talking about is gonna help people, hopefully, because it has been changing my life to challenge myself to take up more space. What I'm doing right now is me allowing myself to take up space. I usually plan all my videos, and I get kind of anxious sometimes when I'm recording. I lose my train of thought, and I have been really stepping into just telling myself, hey, I am worthy, even though I have certain faults. I'm worthy. I deserve to show up in any way that I feel excited to show up. And sometimes too, I get really in my head about how videos perform, And I have been, again, letting go of that and just choosing, let me just take up space. And who cares how it performs? Who cares what happens? Let me just do this for me. Because every time I release a video, I feel like I'm releasing whatever I'm saying. So it's become incredibly healing for me. Let me just glue this down now. Now, while this is drying, I'm gonna do my makeup. What are we saying? Oh my god, I love this wig. I just think curly hair suits me so much better than straight hair. I mean, that makes sense because my natural hair is curly, my mom's hair was curly. It's giving Latina, it's giving Shakira, it's giving bad bitch. If we want some of that Shakira, we gotta shake the hippies. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, this is my full video on taking up space. I really hope that you enjoyed this type of content. If you would like to see more content like this, then let me know. I will make more of it, and I'll just do it anytime I'm getting ready or installing a wig. I really am so obsessed with this hair. Thank you guys for staying till the end of the video. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for supporting. I'm literally sending you so much love, light, and blessings.